Hey guys, this is Nathan Pennington from RunDreamAchieve.com, and today's video I'm discussing race strategies. What can you do to become more effective when you race? Obviously, I'm going to speak on some of my own experiences. Hopefully, trying to get an idea of what a 2:19 marathoner thinks will be of importance to you. Obviously, I don't necessarily think that faster runners necessarily have it all together. I mean, we experience just as much frustration and trials and ebbs and flows as beginners or people that have continued to get better in the sport. But when it comes to race strategies, some of the best things you can do, obviously, is definitely do not go out too fast in the race. This is something that I think every runner is guilty of. They get too hyped up the first few miles and they want to take off. Always remember, you cannot win a race in the first mile. You want to focus on where you're at the end of the race. In my own races, obviously early on in my career, I made those mistakes. I really went out way too fast. And that's something you can teach yourself in training. Definitely if you're training for, if you're training for a 5K and your goal is to run 7-minute mile pace, don't go out the first mile in 6 minutes. It's a little too aggressive. You want to focus on, I would prefer going out at like 7:10 the first mile and then really attacking those last 2.1 miles. Again, how you train and how you prepare is really going to dictate where you finish at in the race. And obviously, it's very easy to go out way too fast in races. If you can hold yourself back, that is one race strategy that I think everybody, including myself, every single distance runner can improve on that. And as you get fitter, as you're doing more competitive type paces in training, and you have the confidence and you know that you can hold that pace, then yes, do go out aggressive and do go out with the leaders. I can tell you right now, when I broke 2:20 for the marathon, my PR prior to the morning of that race was 2 hours, 40 minutes, and 2 seconds. I ran at the 2007 Grandma's Marathon. But the workouts I was doing in training told me that I was ready to break 2:20. Now, how do you go from 2:40 to sub 2:20? I mean, that's a 20-minute difference in, 20-minute drop in pace. Whatever whatever event you're training for, whatever type of time that you're looking for, make it aggressive. Don't make it unrealistic. Be unrealistic. There's people that, there's people that say be realistic. They say that they mean well and they want the best for you. But life is short. Okay, there's goals we all have. You've got to go after what you want to do. And if you're currently a 2-hour half marathoner, but you really want to, you really think that you can break 4 hours for the marathon, do believe that. Okay, I'm a 2:05 half marathoner. What do I need to do to get to 3:58 for the marathon? I mean, I got to hold 2 half marathons basically faster than I can run right now for 13.1 miles. That's the type of thinking you need to think about, because it's working out is more than just the physical aspect of training. This is what we all have gotten really good at. We really, we can go out and we can do a tempo run. We can go out and do a long run. We can do track workouts. We can do hill sprints. But what about the psychological part of training? What part does that play? I mean, that plays a huge part. And, in terms of your race strategy, what you need to do in training is you really have to visualize, what do I need to do in training to properly get myself to that type of level? Okay, I'm a 2:05 half marathoner. What do I need to do to break 4 hours? I need to combine 2 half marathons faster than I can currently run. So what I tell you and what I tell everybody that visits the site is focus on that goal race pace. You need to hold 26.2 miles at 9:09 mile pace, or I think it's 5:41 per kilometer, for 26.2 miles or 42.1 kilometers, 1.8 or whatever it is, 42.2 kilometers. Okay, you have to think long term. Okay, to get from a 20, just for example, this is for this video's example. Okay, this is going in for a race strategy, leading into a race. What do I need to do? Okay, I'm currently a 2:05 half marathoner. I want to get to 3:58. I want to break 4 hours. What you're trying to do may take it's I can tell you right now, it's not a short-term thing. You may not be able to do that in a 4-month block of training. It may take you a year. It may take you 5 years. Heck, it might take you as long as it took me to break 2:20 for the marathon. It took me 18 years. Okay? So the question is, how committed and how focused are you? How persistent do you want to be? And that, I can tell you right now, is probably one of the biggest differences between athletes that are interested and athletes that are committed. There's a huge difference between the two. If there was ever a race strategy I could tell anybody, any athlete preparing for a race, I would tell them, be patient. That is the key trait in some of the most successful distance runners I've ever trained with. They're extremely patient. They're extremely consistent with their training. I remember Dr. Joe Vigil. He's a world-renowned exercise physiologist, and he said in one of his presentations, he says, if your coach says do 2 a day, do 2 a day. He's talking about workouts, and he says you don't miss. You don't miss a day. If you're going to eat today, you run today. So be patient with yourself. Don't beat yourself up if you can't, if you have to take a day off, or if you can't get to a point where you're running 4 or 5 days a week. Start off with 1 or 2 days a week, but do it consistently. Don't do it for a week here, take 2 weeks off. That's lukewarm. That's not going to prepare you for a race the way the best distance runners train. The best distance runners prepare. Some of the guys that I train with, man, they have humbled me beyond belief. Some of them, Dan Brown, 2:11:35 marathoner, made the two-time Olympian. Just a couple of guys I'm thinking of. John Mikowski, he was a 3:58 miler. These are guys I trained with when I was with the World Class Athlete Program, the Army World Class Athlete Program, when I was stationed in Colorado Springs. Robert Cesare. Rob ran I think it was around a 13:07 for 5K. Ryan Kirkpatrick, he ran 13:19 for 5K. Kenny Foster, this was a guy that came into the World Class Athlete Program with a 2:29 marathon PR, left of the program with a 2:19:49 marathon PR. He ran 2:19:49 on the same course I ran 2:19:35 on. Who else? Troy Harrison. He came in with a 2:27 and he left with a 2:22. So all these athletes, they were very, very persistent, razor sharp focused. In terms of a race strategy, when you go into a race, you want to go in knowing, okay, I have done everything possible in training to be able to react and to be able to make the types of changes in pace. If somebody runs past me, I can make I can react and I can speed up and go with them. But if somebody goes off, if it's like you're in a 10-mile race and your goal is to run 8-minute mile pace for 10 miles, and you're at 6:30 mile pace going into the first mile, that's not a good strategy to say the least. You've got to back off early on in the race. Again, nobody wins a race in the first mile, and you've got to be cognizant of that. Remember, most runners take off the first few miles, so get set in your pace, run your race, and don't get caught up in the hype. It's very natural, it's very easy. I've done it too. I ran the Virginia Half Marathon years ago, and I still remember hitting the first 2 miles in 9:27, which for me was far too fast. I went out with Ryan Hall, who, if you don't know, Ryan ran a 2:04 marathon, 2:04:59 at the Boston Marathon. So we all make mistakes, and that's another race strategy I can just tell you from experience that we all make mistakes in training and in racing. Learn from your mistakes. If you went out too fast in a race, or you didn't get enough sleep prior to the morning before or the morning of the race, what's important is this: in terms of sleeping, anyways, in terms of a race strategy, getting not much sleep the night before a race isn't going to affect you as much as if you got numerous. If you didn't care and you were doing the training, but you kind of weren't really in it, you weren't getting much sleep. That can affect your race as well. So definitely race strategy, get great sleep, eat well, get plenty of hydrate well. Definitely practice how you're hydrating yourself in training. Make the mistakes in training. Don't wait until the morning of the race to make the mistake. Make the mistakes in training. If for whatever reason you're concerned that you drink too much in the race and that's going to affect you, like maybe you'll have too much fluid, sloshing around in your stomach. Try that in training. Practice drinking too much in training just to see how it feels. That way, when you go into a race, you kind of have an estimate of how much fluid you can take in. But definitely err on taking in more than less, because if you're planning on running like a longer race, 10K up to the marathon, and you're drinking the equivalent of maybe like 3 Dixie cups of water, that's not going to cut it. It's not enough fluid. You really want to focus on hydrating well in training, taking in enough calories, especially in a marathon. I mean, you're running 26.2 miles, 42.1K kilometers. You need to take in enough fluids, get enough calories in you as well as fluids. And you see any of the top runners, they'll sit there and they'll carry water bottles in their hands for like a half mile. They're sitting there racing, drinking down their water. But they don't just sip half a cup of Dixie cup and throw it down. They're sitting there holding it. They're taking in enough fluids, taking enough calories. They're taking in that hydration, that nutrition that you need in those longer distance races. So there's a lot of other race strategies out there. These are just a few. Definitely, if you haven't subscribed yet, definitely click on the subscribe button. That way, when I make new videos, you'll get an instant notification that a new video has been made. So I appreciate you stopping by the RunDreamAchieve YouTube video or YouTube channel. I'm still relatively new at doing these. I've only made at this point around 31 videos, but I've wrote a lot of posts on the website. I've had it for a little over 7 years, and just been motivated by my wife and by people that I work with that really inspire me. To make more videos, because at the end of the day, it's not about what type of achievements I've done over the years, times I've run. Whatever I've done in the sport isn't as important as the knowledge and what I've been taught by some of the best distance runners, the best coaches in the world, and being able to provide that feedback back to you. That's really important to me, and I hope that you get you can watch these videos and say, hey, I didn't really think about that, but that's a good point, or I can adjust how I'm doing that because it worked for him. And in some cases, what works for me might not work for you, but I can guarantee you, whether you're a beginner or you're an advanced level athlete, most of the training principles that I teach have all been taught to me by Jack Hazen, Dr. Joe Vigil, Lisa Rainsberger. She won the 1985 Boston Marathon. And from other athletes that I've trained with. I mean, my wife is a 3:23 marathoner. She's taught me a lot. Beginners have taught me a lot. So again, what I've done as an athlete might inspire you, but when I say that I'm a 2:19 marathoner, that I've broken 2:20, it's not to impress you. It's to impress upon you what you can do in this sport. And what you lack in talent, just like I lacked in talent. I never had a lot of talent, but I did have heavy work ethic. I was very, very consistent. I was immersed into the training and what I do. I absolutely loved running and competing, and I still compete and I still train, but I get even more satisfaction in being able to make a video that can affect somebody else, and especially when it comes to in your race strategy and how you prepare in training. I hope some of these tips will help you out. So hope this video was helpful. Definitely leave a comment below if there's something that specific area in your training or your racing that you're having issues with, or something that you'd like me to make a video about. Definitely leave that comment, because it's important that I can make that video about what's giving you an issue, and hopefully give you some feedback and help you out. So hope this video is helpful, and have a great evening. Talk to you next time.